Hi, Mr. Eaton here, and today we're going to be using trigonometry to find the side lengths. We're also going to focus specifically on finding the numerator. If we know what the denominator is, but we don't know what the numerator is, how do we go about solving that equation? So how do we go about solving for x as the numerator in a trigonometric ratio? So if we had the equation cos of 20 equals x over 3, the first thing we would do is we would multiply by 3 to get rid of this 3 over here. So we would have 3 cos 20 degrees equals x over 3 multiplied by 3. These two obviously cancel each other out. Therefore our equation would be 3 cos 20 degrees equals x. The next step is to get hold of our scientific calculator and type in 3 cos 20 equals, and that would give us the answer of 2.819 equals x, and we always try to round it to two decimal places, so it'll be 2.82 is the value of x. And therefore we've solved this equation where we have x as the numerator, the thing we don't know. Now before I move on, if you didn't understand this step over here, this is solving linear equations. Remembering what we do on one side we need to do on the other. Now we multiplied by 3 over here to get rid of the division, or divided by 3. Therefore we have to multiply by 3 on this side. Okay, so what we do on the right hand side, we need to do on the left hand side too. If you're not sure about that, go back and do a little bit of revision on that. Alright, well we need to find the side lengths, and in this particular example we need to find the pronumeral x. We know the angle, which is 38 degrees, and we know that the hypotenuse, so I'll label it h, and looking opposite over here is the x, and obviously this will therefore be the adjacent. The first thing I need to do is figure out what do I know. Well, I know my angle is 38 degrees. I know the hypotenuse, and that's 7. And I also know I need to find my opposite, which is my pronumeral x. So can you now remember a trigonometric ratio that has hypotenuse and opposite in it? And if you remember that it is the sine rule, then you're 100% correct. So sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. So now we fill the information in. So we have sine of 38 degrees equals, well, the opposite is my x, and my hypotenuse was obviously 7. I then need to solve or sort out my divide by 7, so I'm going to multiply each side by 7. So I'm going to have 7 sine of 38 degrees is equal to x. And when I put 7 sine 38 and it equals into my calculator, I end up with the value of 4.31 is the value of x. Therefore my x value here is that. Alright, well here's another one for you to find. The first thing I would suggest you do is label the different sides of your triangle, and then figure out what you know. You know that, and you know that, and you know that, and then work out which trigonometric ratio you need to use, and then solve it. Put the video on pause and come back when you're ready. Alright, well, the first thing I need to do is label. So I know that that is my hypotenuse over there, and if I'm looking across, I know that this is the opposite side to where I'm looking. So this is my opposite, and obviously this has to be my adjacent. So what do I know? Well, I know that the angle is 42 degrees. I know that I have an opposite that I need to find, which is my pronumeral x, and I also know that my adjacent is actually 4 units as well. So, which trigonometric ratio uses opposite and adjacent? Well, opposite and adjacent happens to be the tan rule. So tan of theta equals opposite over adjacent. So I now fill all my information in. So I've got tan of 42 degrees equals my opposite, which is my pronumeral x, over my adjacent, which is 4. I need to sort out this divide by 4, so I'm going to multiply each side by 4. Therefore I have 4 tan of 42 degrees equals my pronumeral x. And when I put 4 tan 42 into my scientific calculator, I end up with the value of 3.60 for x. Therefore x, this value over here, is equal to 3.60. Alright, the last one for you to find. We have a triangle, as you can see over here, right angle over there. We have that side, and we actually have that angle as well. First thing you need to do is label your triangle, then what do you know, and then solve for the pronumeral x. Put the video on pause and come back when you're ready to see if you got it right. Okay, well the first step obviously is to label, and I know the longest side is going to be my hypotenuse, and if I'm looking across this way over here, this would be my opposite, and therefore this has to be my adjacent. So what do I know? Well, I know 24 degrees. I know my adjacent is going to be my pronumeral x, and I also know that my hypotenuse is going to equal 10. Alrighty, so what rule actually uses adjacent and hypotenuse? And if you said it was the cos rule, you would be absolutely right. So we're going to go cos of theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse. And I need to fill all my information in, so I go cos of 24 degrees equals my adjacent, which is my pronumeral x, over my hypotenuse, which is 10. So I go 10 cos 24 equals x, and when I punch 10 cos 24 equals into my scientific calculator, I get x to the value of 9.14. Okay, so x value here is going to equal 9.14. Alright, well there you go. We've worked through the 3 trigonometric ratios of sine, cos and tan. We've done some examples, and you shouldn't have any problems in the future. Well done.